So what kind of marketing strategies you have deployed or working with your team in order to kind of increase that outreach? Of course, so you have your traditional
Mhm.
channels like email, your online store, Facebook, Google advertising. So what are you currently doing, and what more are you planning to do in future in
Yeah.
order to grow more?
That is a very, really important question. Like as a brand, there's just so many ways you do it, but then you have to really hone in what's going to make sense. I think in
Yeah.
the early days, we did test everything and we tried
Mm-hmm.
everything, but I would say we didn't do everything well. So now we
Mm-hmm.
really hone in, and what we found through, but one thing is when you do testing, we found things that work. Like for example, with our product,
Mm-hmm.
sampling is a key. So we actually invest heavily in providing free samples to doctors, doulas, night nurses, medical professionals, as
Mm-hmm.
well as mom groups. We do sampling with like-minded brands. We do a ton of brand collaborations where we
Makes
also
sense.
really into supporting other brands. So not just giveaways, but like, for example, doing a lot of like we did this, we just recently, and it's still there, a cross brand 12 brand collaboration at Showfield in New York City. It's called The Future of Parenting, where
Mm-hmm.
EmBeba pulled together these like amazing next generational parenting brands together to tell a story about like all the new latest and greatest innovation. And by doing that, we position ourselves with all the other brands and really amplify, because 12 different teams, brand groups can amplify the PR reach as well. I think one of them
Very
happens
cool.
to be Bobby, which is like this phenomenal, um, and they just hit the good luck for a baby formula company. They went like this. So yes, we work with them too, but I think do a ton
Mm-hmm.
of really, really targeted brand collaboration is a key. Newsletters, you have to do it really well. One thing we're working on rolling out more is content, is like bridging that gap of education in an easier, better way. But one thing we try not to do is go crazy with like constantly emailing our consumers. We will only email you when we actually have news, honestly. So sometimes it
Mm-hmm.
could be like once a month. We don't consider email as, yes, it's nice to have, and
Yeah.
it's important for converting, but it has to
Mm-hmm.
be able to stand by itself and on its leg. So putting content or like notifying of certain things makes it a little bit more compelling and people to open. Otherwise, if you're constantly bombarding and saying like sell, 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 people are just
Yeah.
gonna like ignore you. We
Yeah.
started to do SMS a little bit more, but I
Mm-hmm.
think for parents and our consumer demographics, you have to be very careful about SMSing because if the
Yeah.
noise come off and the baby's sleeping, you're in trouble. They'll be pissed at you because you're like, why are you sending me a text? You know, all these things. So,
Mm-hmm.
so those things. But I think also working on your PR game, marketing and PR, but really building content.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to help go a long way. A/B test a ton of different channels, and we'll use influencers. One thing is to find the right influencer. So not just picking an influencer who is, you know, too big of an influencer, or like not the right type of influencer for your brand.
Yeah.
That's very helpful too. So we actually are very selective and choosy of influencer we work with, and we actually just email you directly if we think you're like the right fit to work with us. And so
Well
I think
said.
that's where influencer management and influencer campaign is something everyone talks about, but then you want to
Mm.
make sure that it's aligned with your brand and it tells an
Yeah.
authentic story. Otherwise, people might just be under the impression that you paid the influencer to just do things. And like consumers are very, very good at sniffing out
Yeah.
authenticity. So you just have to make sure that any type of tactics that you employ uh, continue to convey your brand authenticity and messaging.